What up, guys?
Hello.
Alex, Evan, it's Fisher coming in. I asked you guys if you wanted to chat a little bit about social media, about marketing, about brand building. And I think I just asked you to endorse me, maybe building programs and helping you, but you don't have to do that. But I really just wanted to pick your brains. I mean, I know we've been hanging out in some of our coaching programs and some of our different training modules and things like that. And you guys both have been pushing the Facebook concepts, the social media, the branding, and essentially meeting people online before you meet them in person. And I just dig that, you're not buying leads, you're not doing Zillow, you're not doing some of the stuff that everyone says you got to do, like bankrate.com or any of that. You're attracting people to you through the stuff that you're doing. And I just said, what the heck, let's talk about it. So, Evan, I know you've been doing a lot of stuff through Facebook as far as, changing all your logos and putting yourself out there, friending a lot of real estate agents, finding them in real estate groups, some of the things that I talked about in my training programs. Your message is out there a lot to real estate agents about the niches that you're good at, the programs that you're good, how fast you close loans, all that. So I guess maybe we'll just start with Evan. What kind of things have really helped you, go from having almost no real estate agents and no business to having pipelines of, over 2 million in less than 12 months?
Well, I mean, it really, I think it's going to depend a little bit on your personality, but you can be successful with this, whether you're outgoing, introvert, that kind of thing. I'm more on the introverted side, so you're never going to find me picking up the phone and calling agents. I just don't do that. So I do it in a little bit more, I guess you'd say, in a passive kind of way. So I'll go and I'll just friend request every agent I find, whether it be in a group. Once you're friends with a lot of agents, they're just going to show up in the people you may know because you've got, 150 mutual friends with the person, and they're much more likely to accept your friend request at that point. But on Facebook, don't feel like you need to know the person personally to be friends with them on Facebook. Just when you are friends with them, don't send them an invite to your business page, because I've got 400 of them and I haven't even looked at them. But you just friend request them, and then you're posting good content on your newsfeed. So whether that be success stories you have personally, success stories of your company. I know it's more important to brand yourself, but if you're aligned, if you work for a particular company that's doing a lot of good in the community or in the industry, you want to blow that up, because there's a lot of great companies out there that you do want to support. Whilst branding yourself too. So. Something as simple as my cover photo on Facebook, if you search me, it just says VA loan expert, and it's got my phone number on there. So when I'm in real estate groups where there's tens of thousands of realtors in that group, and there's going to be a subject that comes up about VA loans. Have you ever done a VA loan thing? So you're going to have the agents come in there that had bad experiences, and they're automatically going to say that the VA loan's a bad loan, 100% financing. They don't, they're not as qualified as a conventional 20% down borrower, blah, blah, blah. All the stuff that we as loan officers know isn't true. So, I'll go in and I'll fiercely defend, a VA loan, and you're going to have people that are arguing with you, but then you're also going to have agents who, align with that mentality. So, one of my top realtor partners now is actually a Army reservist who's still active, 20 plus years, who religiously uses me because he knows that I'm going to go to bat for his other VA clients, because that's kind of his niche too, because he's near a military base, a major New Jersey military base. So he knows that I'm going to, put forth nothing but excellence for his clients, and making sure those offers are getting accepted. So, and I didn't do anything, I didn't know of him, nothing, he was a newer agent, but he just saw my comments, went to my profile, saw my cover photo, said VA loan expert. He friend requested me. He messaged and called me. I didn't even have to call the guy. And, he's one of my, I consider him a friend, not just, a realtor partner, because we can,
So I think Alex made an infographic on what happened here, right? The niches. Didn't you make an infographic for us, Alex? Isn't it sitting on your desk?
You gonna show it to us here?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to show that to people right now, because some of the people watching this may not quite know about my personality yet. So I could potentially offend people, which I'm okay with. But this isn't my
It said riches and niches, didn't it? I think it said riches.
That's what it said something. It rhymes with riches and witches.
Oh my God!
But it just says niches.
It said get your niches, bitches.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
God, you're terrible.
I'll get into a little bit of that when it's my turn to talk.
But yeah, I mean, if you're good at something, you want to make sure you blow that up.
So your message, I mean, it's real consistent. We've been working together in different programs and through our coaching and as friends and things like that. But, when you identified that, hey, Evan is good at this, Evan is good at that, it gives a consistent message to the agents and to your customers, like, hey, who do I go to when this particular scenario pops up? I go to Evan. So you got people like not just 10 miles from your office, but like all over the state of New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
And the country.
In the country.
I've got agents in Texas that reach out to me and ask me, I'm encountering this scenario. What do I do? I have a referral in this state. Who's the best loan officer in that state? So even if it doesn't benefit me directly, just by the stuff I'm posting on Facebook, being top of mind with people, their friend requests me, and then they start seeing my posts, and I'm actually able to be an influence in making sure that buyers across the country are getting taken care of properly by a loan officer that is trying to be perfect at their craft, essentially.
Ultimately, like in your case with the veterans, the winner is the veteran, because they get
the end goal.
They get better service, and people with more knowledge are taking care of them. So,
yep.
Man. Now, Alex, you've been doing the same thing. I mean, your approach is a little bit different with websites and stuff, but Alex, I don't have to ask you to talk. I'll just kind of Evan and I will stop, and you start. So I'm not going to ask any questions. You just talk.
All right, just point. My turn.
Your turn.
Okay, so mine is a lot like what Evan's talking about. What I did is I focused on finding what I thought was the perfect client. That was the person I knew the most about, had the most experience with, and could actually go through and do a loan with, and a person that I like to work with. See, there's a lot of real estate agents in my market that are real uppity and stuck up and everything else, and I don't work well with those people. So I deflect by some of my videos and everything else that I post. I know over the past couple of days, you've seen a couple of videos that have been professionally done and put together and put on my Facebook, and there's some intentional things that happen there to project the message that, hey, I do a lot of VA loans, but this is the type of person that I want to do business with. So once I identified my perfect client, that's where we fall back into the niches. There's one thing I'm really, really good at, and that's VA loans. I can do FHA, I can do conventional, I can do USDA, but everybody knows me as the VA guy. They all send me deals that are VA related. I've got agents that will only send me VA deals, but they won't send them to anybody else. I think identifying that has been something that's extremely helpful, and then putting that out on social media markets, not just Facebook. I've actually started to use quite a few different ones now, including Instagram and Twitter. The main reason behind that is I just want to touch those different people, because I heard from a lot of different sources that you have your Facebook, which are people our age, maybe a little bit older. The average user of Facebook is 40.3 years old or something like that. And then you have your Twitter users, which are kind of a little bit older people. And then you have your Instagram users, which are the younger millennials. So I wanted to make sure I was touching all those areas and really getting my point across of what it is I do and what it is I like to do, and driving that message home. That's not a mixed message. This is what I do. It's VA. I am the VA specialist. I VA this, VA that, VA everything. And that was so I can generate that sort of business because I perfected myself as being a specialist in that market. And it's paid its dividends. I doubled my expected production this month by simply going back and doing the work that kind of helped drive me home as a VA specialist. I went from literally doubling my production for this month that I started to focus on at the beginning of this month. I got 3 contracts in this week, all closing by the end of the month, which they're kind of tight, but they're VA deals. Imagine that. And they're all going to close on time because we know what we're doing when it comes to it. So, that being said, once you find that direction and you stop saying, hey, I'm the mortgage guy, I'll come in, I'll do your VA, USDA, FHA, THDA. You can't be a person that's perfected at every craft. A doctor, there's doctors that are specialists, guys that are brain surgeons and stuff like that. They know general medicine and they can practice all sorts of medicine, but they're really good at working on brains. Might need to see one of those guys. But anyways, my point behind saying that is you can be an expert at one field or a specialist in one field and then still encompass the other ends of the field and let people know, hey, not only am I good at this, but I can also do that. And you're going to attract agents, and by attracting those agents, they're going to vouch for you and say, yes, he is a VA specialist. I've got sellers agents calling me on transactions. They're like, hey, this guy's a donkey. He has no idea what he's doing. This thing's went into Tidewater. They messed this up and did this. What can I do? Well, as you know, Fisher, from you and I being in Kansas City, I have some very deep connections with the VA. So what does that allow me to do? Gives me some solidified answers. Gives me a little bit of edge on some scenarios. Plus, I have my training from MMBC, which has allowed me to identify things that I wouldn't have been able to identify prior to that training. So there's a lot of value in figuring out what your perfect client is and then crafting your skill around that.
And, unlike Evan, who doesn't like to leave his office, you go out in the community and teach classes and things like that too. You host events and
I'm working on that.
I think you're forming your relationships with partners and I've seen some of the offers. I mean, you're essentially telling these agents, hey, we're going to help you make more money. And the way we're going to do that is by teaching you to help people better qualify and better get their offers accepted and the kind of things that are important to the customers, which in your case are our nation's veterans that are served. So it's a multi-pronged approach. It's not just online. It's online, on the streets, in face, on your website. It's everything revolves around having a consistent message, an easy message, consistent. This is the guy. Whenever you see this guy, then you think of this one thing.
Yes. And the other thing behind that too, Michael, like you said with Evan, Evan's great at what he does. He does a fantastic job. Ever since he's went to Movement, if I've got a referral out in his area, I'll send it to him because I know Evan's going to handle that. But what I like to do is get in front of people. Like you said, I like to do the training. I did a training for Keller Williams about 3 weeks ago. They said it was the best training they ever had. They invited me back for a second training that I'll be doing this Friday. I'm also participating in Keller Williams Red event, which is where they give back to the community. That'll be tomorrow and the following day. VA, the auditing center here in Nashville, invited me in to do a presentation with their main auditor so they can understand kind of the direction that a loan officer takes when he starts this process and what it is that, the leaps and bounds that we go through. I do like getting out to the community, and as far as taking it and providing knowledge and value, I had a meeting last week with a pair of agents, and she flat out said 5 minutes into this meeting, she said, well, what we're looking for is somebody to pay for leads. And Jeff was kind of thrown back when I was like, I'm not paying for your leads. But what I will do is provide you with training that will allow you to capitalize on the leads that you have that somebody else has paid for and convert those into actual deals. So instead of paying you for leads that you're probably not going to call or probably not going to approach right anyways, I will teach you the ways that we go about doing that. You will then convert deals, which will turn into referrals, which means your phone would ring. And when it rings, have those people call me, take the deals at the leads that the guy paid for and close them with him. Because I have zero interest in paying for somebody else's leads because they don't work them anyways. So what's the point? Why not teach somebody to be successful, teach them the proper steps, and then allow them to close more deals? And that's where the loyalty is built on my end, where Evan provides some additional value in other steps, I'm kind of the other way around. If Evan and I were the same person, we'd be ugly, but we'd be a great team.
I'm still confused about what height you would be. I mean, you're probably right in the middle like me if you combine the two of you guys.
I wouldn't be overweight either. I'd be like, you know how buff I'd be if we like combined it? I mean, granted, I'd be like 5'6", but I'd have like 19% body fat instead of 90.
Balder with hair too.
Yeah. Or either that or I'd have a normal hairline, not this one that I have cut in and actually like partially receding.
It's funny. So I got to thank both of you guys. Both of you guys have helped a little bit with some of the coaching programs that I've been doing with TJ Barker, and you guys have came in and talk about some of the tech, some of the branding, some of the stuff that we just mentioned in the last 20 minutes. And if I could ask you one message about some of the coaching, and maybe I'll put the words in your mouth, but I mean, do you think that one coach or one person in America knows what's best for all loan officers? Or do you think it's better to get different ideas and collaborate and find out what works for you in your market?
Always got to have different perspectives, because if you work, I know that if you work for Movement and you get into the coaching, you don't even enter into coaching until you take a DISC profile test. So they're going to model their coaching around your specific personality. Most loan officers are going to be high D&I on the DISC profile, but I'm a high SC. So my coaching revolves around, a loan officer that has a high SC DISC profile test. So you've got to make sure that, because if you try to follow somebody that's going to tell you to do things that you're not comfortable with, you're just going to be miserable. So, there's ways to be a successful loan officer no matter what your personality type is. So, I know that what I like about, the coaching programs that you do, Fish, is that you're not, you don't try to fit everybody into a box. You're not telling everybody to use a specific software program. You're not telling everybody they got to approach agents a certain way, build the exact systems that you're supposed to have. You're basically opening up the opportunities to use what is already available to you, or at least give suggestions on what is available, and then you help that loan officer make the best decision for their particular situation. So, that's why I like help and contribute to your class, because, that's what over the nearly two years we've known each other now, can't believe it's been almost 2 years.
So I met you when you were 21?
Not that young, but yeah. So I mean, I just like how you've always had an open mind and not trying to put loan officers fit everybody in one little box, like the most training programs are out there.
Not all of us, and I try not to rip on anybody, because this is very effective for some people, but not all of us really have the wherewithal to dial 40 realtors on Monday. I mean, I've tried that so many times in my career, and I stop at 2.
For those super high D&I loan officers, they might love it. They might love crushing the phones and talking to 40 agents on a Monday. I will never be that loan officer. I would be miserable, and I would probably quit if I had to be successful doing that. That's why, I don't think I would even be a loan officer if we didn't have the technology, through Facebook and all that kind of stuff that's available to us.
Yeah, because the old school method of getting your message out by pounding it through somebody, one at a time, I personally, I still see that can be effective, but
what's your message? What's your message too? I mean, are you, in those kind of, I've never really heard of in those programs of what exactly you're supposed to say, and how do you make 40 phone calls and make it sound exciting and different, and what you're bringing to the table, in a small time window, trying not to get hung up on kind of deal.
No, I like how Alex, and I don't know if he does it every Monday or Tuesday, I don't know if there's a schedule to it, but he'll kick out a video every week that's going to go in front of 5,000 or 6,000 people, probably 1,000 which are real estate agents.
How long would it take you to make that many phone calls?
Exactly. And then, those out of the 1,000 agents, well, maybe 500 don't like the way he looks, and another 200 don't like the way he talks.
And we'll never have to talk to him.
They're like, man, this guy, I like this guy a lot, and they want to work with this guy.
Yeah, and that's something I see a lot, Fish, actually. I've had 5,000 friends on my Facebook for a while now, and I would think with some of the messages I deliver, I would see that number dwindle down and eventually be below 5,000 and be able to accept more friend requests. But on a daily basis, people are like, I would send you a friend request, but you're Mr. Popular and it won't accept it. So I have to find somebody to delete. Well, doing that, I'm scrolling through, I'm like, shit, I know all these people, and so it's hard for me to delete people, which is kind of crazy. But like Evan was saying, you can jump on Facebook and touch thousands of people, and it takes you a matter of minutes to do so, and that's the kind of approach I enjoy. It's funny that you put Evan and I on here, because Evan and I are very opposite in personalities, but very good friends. So we sit there and we can kick off each other. There's a lot of stuff I've learned from Evan, how to speak English well. And I'm sure a lot of things, yeah, I'm still working on it. I can't speak Spanish either. But I'm sure there's things that Evan has learned from me as well. So, the combination of two people with very different personalities and learning from each other and growing from each other is just proof of what you and TJ have done, that it's effective, because you're taking somebody like Evan who understands the technology side of it and can make sense of it. And then you have me over here that doesn't want to deal with the technology, but I'd rather get out there and pound the streets and talk and do whatever. And we're putting in input so we can touch people that have different types of personalities. One great example, I've been doing this neuro massage therapy thing where this person identifies like, I have a muscle in my diaphragm where I breathe, and it was affecting other portions of my body. So he was pushing on that muscle, and I would notice there'd be strength increases in other portions of my body. The reason why I bring that up is because that has a lot to do with the way that people learn. They may not think that this is effective for them, but it's a bit of information that they really need to be taught in order to improve in other areas. Like me, when it comes to organization, I'm horrible at it, but I've got a great person who's my loan officer assistant that's great at being organized. And so that's a person I seek out to help me with that weakness so I can excel with my strengths. This is what the training that you guys have done in the past has allowed us to do. It puts people like Evan and I together where I can understand how to speak well and say, hey, Evan, will you look at this and make sure that there's enough periods and stuff there? Because Lord knows I don't want to miss a period. But, being able to do that and being able to piece those people together and network those people together and mesh them together to really build a strong loan officer base, which gives us some top professionals in this industry that you would think would be cutthroat and compete against each other. But actually, all of us just want to see each other succeed. Like I said earlier in the video, I've sent Evan referrals. I've had other loan officers amongst our friends of loan officers that sent me referrals. We all wanted to see each other succeed, and that's something that once you start learning and start seeing things from a different side, you find that that's what successful people want anyways. And that's the people we've allowed to associate ourselves with doing some of the speaking sessions like the one we're doing today. We have people that are really good at something, they're watching it, and they send us a private message and they're like, hey man, that video was awesome. Can you help me be better at that? And then you turn and look at their strength and you say, yeah, man, no problem. Can you do me a favor? Can you help me improve on this? And then you guys improve together. Suddenly you've got friends in 50 different states and people that just want to see you grow and succeed. So, putting those different people together is allowing you to take the different people that fit in different boxes and get some utilization out of it and really grow and learn from those different portions that each person's allowed to contribute to help them grow in their sales side of it and the mortgage side of it.
That was, I can tell you're growing because you wouldn't have been able to talk that eloquently a year ago, but you've been hanging out with Evan a lot.
No, I mean, I can, if you want me to, I'll be like, look, this mother. No,
that was 1 year ago. That was pretty much every conversation.
I've got 2 kids now. When you sit there and you're like, I called my dog a bitch the other day. My daughter turns around, who's 2.5 years old, and people are going to be like, oh, my God, not this guy. My daughter turns around. The dog comes walking by, and she goes, bitch. I'm like, oh. So I've had what I say.
That's funny. So, yeah, that's all I got, man. I just, I know we are constantly battling to beat the robots and all these people that think the internet can do our job and that somebody can just click and get a loan and, blast off in outer space and your loan will close and it'll close in 2 days and all this kind of stuff that we as on the street seasoned loan officers, we just know it's just not real. But the reality is the consumer doesn't know, and that many loan officers, let's face it, they're my age, they're 43, they're 50, they're 56. I guess Jay says there are a bunch of strokes in the background, but a lot of them can't get out of their own way, and they get frustrated thinking that some of the stuff they've done in the past is going to continue to work. And our good friend Johnny Fowler says there's a shift coming. People, they're staring at their phones. They don't want to talk to people on the phone. They want to click buttons. It's easier. It's just the way of the future. And some of the things you and I have talked about, some of the things we talked about now. We haven't talked about automation, but what we've talked about is Alex has made it easy for somebody to find him. That's a great way to compete against the robots. Somebody can find Alex. Why? Because they're friends with him on Facebook. They see his logo everywhere. They know that his logo is simple. AJ Nashville. How hard is that to remember? So, Evan, how do they know him? Well, again, they see him everywhere. They see his branding. They see he's talking about serving veterans. He's so accessible. And his technology, his ability to move things along and communicate with clients through his company's systems is so effective that he can beat these robots, all these supposed competitors. I'm not competing with Evan. I'm not competing with Alex. I'm competing with a computer. And I can use my computer to compete with other people's computers. Guess what? I know that it's not just about the technology. It's about the approach, and it's about what makes me different. So, you guys are different because you truly care more than anybody else about a certain segment of the market, and you're so good at getting your message out there, even though you use different methods, the principle is the same. So, several coaches, I've heard this from maybe 10 people, where they say the principles are consistent, but the methods vary. So you guys have different methods, but your principles are the same. I mean, you care about a certain segment, and you know that that's going to be a great way to feed your family while serving others, and especially serving our nation's veterans. So I really appreciate you guys' time. I asked you to basically just come out and endorse me, but all I really wanted you to do is talk about yourself. So I'll give you 2 more seconds. Anything else you got to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, piggyback on your technology thing. If you are utilizing the technology, the robots aren't going to pass you. Your job is not going to go away. If consumers still want experts, especially in the biggest transaction in their lifetime. And as long as you're aligning with a company, or if you're not aligning with a company, you go out and get the tools yourself that are investing in this new technology, then you're going to be able to stay ahead. If you're, give it about, I would say probably 2 years tops. If you don't have a digital mortgage, then, your consumers are going to go elsewhere, because right now it's fine because most mortgage companies don't have it, but I'm seeing wholesale lenders left and right. There's one wholesale lender that has a digital mortgage that you don't even need to sell the loan to that company, but you can still use that digital mortgage platform. So, you've got to stay ahead of this. And if you do, your job's not going to go away. If there is, like you said, a big shift happening. And if you're not ahead of the curve, you're going to go away quickly, because just look at what Amazon did to the retail industry. The same thing is going to happen in the mortgage industry. Mortgage loan officers aren't going away. I know that there's some people that say that they are. I just don't see it, at least not anywhere in the immediate future. But you do have to make it easier on your consumers, because if they're shopping rates or something like that and they apply with a mortgage company that makes your life a lot easier, then they're not going to go with you because they know you're not staying ahead of the curve, and you're making the mortgage process way more complicated than it needs to be.
Cool. Close it out.
The emotional side of it, as you guys know, you guys are all loan officers. I can get somebody to fill out an app online, which is great, but they need someone to console them through the process, to tell them that when we ask for a new bank statement, it's okay. And when we tell them we're switching it to this program, that it's okay, we're just doing it for this reason. So there's a counseling part that goes in that robots can't replace. So if you market yourself as the expert in a field that is able to guide these people through the process, there's not a Rocket or a Quick Mortgage or anything like that that can come in and take that away from you. So part of doing this and putting yourself out there and marketing yourself, you have to make sure you're also known as a person that's compassionate about not only what they do, but taking care of the client as well.
Cool. All right. Peace out, gentlemen. I appreciate it. We'll hit you on the other side. If you're in our coaching program, we ask these guys to help us every once in a while. So I was going to try to pull TJ in as well, but TJ, I think, is busy writing loans. So we've got TJ, we've got AJ, we got so many J's I can't keep track of it all. You got Jay behind me right here.
Don't ever say that again.
Trying to do some VA coaching. But that's all, guys. That's all we got.